Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to use functions to organize a program, and we're going to be using the brain trainer that we created in previous sessions. So we're going to start using a main function, and there is going to be the controller of the whole code. Underneath the main function we're going to have these two lines that say if name main, then execute the main function. And basically what we're saying is that the main function will only be executed when we are running example1, and the other functions that we have on this program, in this case we have addition and subtraction, will be called by main, but we can also import this example1 file into another file and use these functions. Okay, so these two functions, addition and subtraction, will be accessible when we import this file, but main will only be executed when this is the file being executed. Okay, so we're going to put functional bits of code in the different functions, thinking about reusability. So what bits of work can we put in each of the functions that we can reuse in the future? Okay, so let's have a look at our, once we have decided that we're going to organize it with a main function for this particular bit of code and then some other functions, auxiliary functions, let's see how our brain trainer works. Okay, so we start initializing. We're going to have a variable for the option. We have a menu and we keep asking the user what they want to do, and we have the score. We're keeping scores for the user. Okay, then while the option is not E for exit, we keep asking the user what do you want to do. A for additions, B for subtractions, and E for exit. New line, so it looks nice and tidy, and I've used the lower method to lowercase the value that the user gives us, so then we can compare to just the lowercase a, b, and e. Okay, so if the option that the user chooses is a, then we're going to call our function addition with two random numbers, and the result of that function is going to be stored in s, and then we'll use that s. So basically s will take the value of 1 if the calculation is correct, and -1 if the calculation is incorrect, and we store that value in the score and we tell the user what their score is. Okay, so let's have a look at what this addition function does. Okay, so remember here we're calling our own custom function addition, and this is where it's defined. We're saying that it requires two parameters. Once inside the function, we're adding the two parameters into another variable z. We're printing a statement that says x plus y is equal to what, so that's going to be telling us what to add. Then the user will type in the result they think is correct, and our function is also checking if that result is the same as the real result which you have gotten, return a 1, and if it's not correct, return a -1. So the function starts running here. When we execute example1, it goes straight to the main. This is the controller. When it gets to addition, it calls the addition function, executes the addition of the two numbers, the comparison to check if the result is correct, and returns the score for that particular calculation, and that's stored on the main variable score and displays it. Then we run it again and say we now choose B for subtraction. We check if it's B, we come here, we have another function called subtraction. Again, we give it two random numbers, same process to keep the score, and we have subtraction defined here. Two inputs, the two numbers that we're sending from the main function in, and we call them x and y. We subtract them, tell the user what to do, get the input from the user, compare if the two values are correct, or the two values are the same, then the answer is correct, so we return a 1. If not, we return a -1, and that's scored. It's recorded here on the score. Okay, and if the option is E, then your final score is the score you had so far, and we say goodbye. And if it's not A or B or E for exit, then it's not a valid option, so we can have to ask the user to tell us their option again. Okay, so this is our example 1. It runs and it will give you your value, what you want to do. A for addition, add those two numbers, 28 will give us your score is 1, addition again, subtract, let's say we do it wrong, and it subtracts, we had 1 for our score, now it's going to 0. I'm going to try the subtraction, 10 minus 8, minus 18, sorry, is minus 8. We go back to 1, and if we say our option is J, it didn't understand what we wanted to do. Let's say we just want to exit. Your final score is 1 and goodbye. And this is the end. Okay, so this is our example 1 up and running. What benefits do we get from using functions? So first of all, it's easier to read. It's more organized. We have the main code here that is the controller, and it calls the separate functions that will execute smaller bit of work, and it's easier to debug, and it's kind of like logically organized. But the main benefit is that now I can go to example 2. I have my main. What I've done is I have the same, let's say I'm creating a fancier version of this program, and the basic commands are again adding and subtracting, but I'm gonna add extra like difficulty levels, for example. So I can just import addition 1 from example 1, and then when I need to use it, addition 1 doesn't need to be in this file. It's imported and I just use it exactly the same way. Okay, in this case we don't need to set the path or identify in the first lines where the file example 1 is saved, because we're part of the same project. So once we're in the same project, you can just from example 1 import example 1, and then we would have access to subtraction as well. If it's not the case and our file is not part of the same project, then we will need to set the path so Python knows where to find our file. Okay, let's have a look at this file running. We just go to example 2 and run it. See, obviously now we have only implemented the option A for addition, so let's go with that one. 8 plus 3 is 11, score is 1, let's add again. 12 plus 9, let's say we say 22, goes 0. Let's try to do additions, nothing happens. And E for exit, and that's the end. Okay, so we should always try to create our files in an organized way using functions, with a main function that is the main controller, and then smaller functions that do specific actions, and always bear in mind that these actions could be reused in different programs. So the more generic and specific to one particular task, the better. And we need to have these lines down here, the if name main execute the function main. So when we import our file, let's say we say import example 1, it's not going to execute example 1, it's only going to bring the functions and not the main function. So we are replacing that main function with this other main, and we're just using the auxiliary functions from this file. Okay, so this is our example for using functions in Python. Goodbye.